Hey guys, this is OzoneTCG. We're back with Zohair Khan. He got a top 8 finish at the Star Charity Championship Series with Gadget Eldlich. Zohair, did you want to give any shout outs before we begin?
Yeah, shout outs to Jerome for lending me two obscure commons that I couldn't find anywhere before the tournament started. Helped me go 7-0 in Swiss. It was great.
That's awesome. Alrighty. If we want to get right into the main deck, start with that.
Yeah. So I played Cyberse Eldlich. Uh Cyberse package here included three copies of Signet Mining and three copies of Cyberse Gadget. This card's insane. It's a normal summon that can revive uh a hang trap engrave as another body to link with, like a Veiler or anything like that. When linked off, it summons a level 2 light Cyberse token, which we use to do the combo that I think we can show off later. Essentially, Cyberse Gadget on its own cycles a Garnet out of your hand and ends on Destroy Phoenix and Scythe. But yeah, that's a pretty small Cyberse engine, just this normal summon, no Garnets associated with it. And then aside from that, I played Eldlich cards, so it was pretty standard. Two Golden Lord, three Conquistador, two Hookero, three Scarlet, three Eldland, and then the one slightly non-standard card. I played one copy of White Destiny. Um, in testing, I found that it was pretty nice to be able to use uh, both Huaquero and Conquistador to get two different Eldlixir cards, so that on my follow-up, the two different Eldlixir cards could then get another Huaquero and Conquistador.
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to me having like two dead Sanguines, or one dead Sanguine with another Sanguine already used. It worked well. This was a nice card to play. Um, I think the Eldritch engine was just really nice as a whole because it played really well into Sword Soul. It trades well with DPE because of Huaquero. Golden Lord can't be destroyed by DPE.
Mm-hmm.
It felt good. Aside from that, we played the Fusion Destiny package, three Fusion Destiny, one Celestial, one Dasher. I think this is pretty straightforward in most decks that play Fusion Destiny right now. Just the Celestial is there to get a pot of greed on the crackback. This card's insane if you open it. If you don't open it, you can always get to it off the Cyberse Gadget engine. And Dasher is just the best level 5 or higher, level 6 or higher. I don't remember what DP takes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best secondary Garnet for Destroy Phoenix in the game at the moment. Like it can summon dead Golden Lords out of hand or like a hand trap to start link climbing. It's pretty nice.
Or
And
even
then
another Cyberse gadget.
yeah, even another Cyberse Gadget, which is great. Um and aside from that, the last non engine card or the last engine card that we played was one copy of Artifact Scythe. It's just part of the combo. These three cards are really the only Garnets in the deck. The Scythe, Celestial, and Dasher. But the Cyberse combo let me put them back into the deck anytime I drew them, so it was really nice. Aside from that, I played a few non-engine protection cards. I played Ash Blossom, Veiler, Imperm, Droplet, and then two Chalice and Called by the Grave. These just were hand traps and uh, pseudo going second cards that I could also set going first that just had a really good spread across the board and uh, did something against most matchups as opposed to Droll or DD Crow. Uh, I think these are pretty good. I don't know if I'd change this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Nick was playing Gadget Lich, he played Gamma, but uh, Gamma sometimes clogged in the hand with, especially when I wanted to like draw cards with Celestial. So we tried swapping it for Effect Veiler so that we could potentially use Veiler to go into Hulky Fibrax and Selene into Access Code, and I did that quite a few times throughout Swiss. It worked out really well.
Yeah, and Nick mentioned that he eventually wanted to cut Gamma to us on the side as well. I know. So it looks like
Yeah,
it may work, may not for other tournaments.
yeah. You want to move to the extract?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we can start with the cards that you use for this gadget engine. It's one copy of Link Disciple. This card here says it takes one level 4 lower Cyberse monster. It says you can tribute one monster that it points to, and then draw a card and put one card back to the bottom of your deck. It's like a Farragut. So that's where any of these three garnets that you draw, you can summon. You summon Disciple, and then you can put it back to your deck, draw a new card. It's really nice, and that's actually the only part of the gadget line that you can ash in the first place. Other normal summons like Alistair, Ecclesia, like those are able to be ashed, but the only ash here, the only part in the combo where you can ash is on the Disciple, and it doesn't even impact you that hard because you don't have to put a card back into deck for cost. So if your
Mm-hmm.
opponent you're still left with the same number of cards in your hand. And then aside from Link Disciple, play the card that goes with it, two copies of Link Devotee. These are proxies. I just printed these out for the deck profile. Again, shout out to Jerome for letting me borrow these two for the tournament. It worked out great. This is the second part of the Cyberse line. So you go summon Disciple, then summon Devotee under it with the token that Cyberse Gadget generates. Devotee has an effect on summon that locks you into uh, only Link 2 or lower monsters if you're Link summoning that turn. But that's fine because on turn 1 you don't go into anything higher than Link 2 monsters or your fusion monsters. And it has a secondary effect that when tributed, it can special summon two Cyberse tokens. And so the way the combo works is you summon Disciple, you summon a token, you make Devotee, and you go Disciple, tribute Devotee to draw and put a card back. And because Devotee was tributed, it lets you summon two tokens to play with. And from there the combo continues. Um the next card we played is Artifact Dagda. This is how we set Scythe in the deck. Um and then I played two copies of Verte Anaconda. This is how we summon DP in the deck. It's pretty much generic. Um, I opted to play two instead of just the one because I wanted to be able to have access to DPE if the first Veiler got, or if the first Verte got Veilered per se. And I think it came up once or twice throughout my run. So I'd say this is definitely worth it. If you don't want to play a second copy of Verte, you could definitely like fit in Nightmare Cerberus or something along those lines. Then to go along with the Verte, you played the DPE. And then I played one copy of Linger Evo. This card takes a level 4 lower Cyberse monster, and this says that when your opponent activates a trap card, you can tribute Linger Evo to negate the activation of the trap card and banish it. So this is a really neat card you can play to play around Imperm or Evenly Matched. And if you normal summon Cyberse Gadget, you can either pick to end on DPE and Scythe uninterrupted, or you can go Verte Linger Evo and force Verte's effect through an impermanence, which was really nice. That came up a few times.
Yes, on one of your recorded matches, you made Verte and Lingaribo with what you had, and it's a play around the impermanence turn one.
Exactly. Yeah. It's better to have like the DPE versus having nothing and committing everything.
Right,
So
right.
that worked out pretty well. And then for one of the generic links we played, I played Lina the Light Charmer. This card's really nice. You can make it off the gadget tokens, any of the Eldlich cards, so pretty much all the monsters in your deck. It's really nice because this has a lot of applications in multiple different matchups. You can revive Chi-Shao, Veilers, both different Ecclesias, any other Dogma monsters, Shaddoll Construct, Mechaba. there's a whole bunch of things you can revive. It just gives you extra link material, and if your opponent makes it leave the field, then you can grab a gadget or a Veiler, and that came up quite a few times as well. It was nice. Next thing I played was the Helki Fibrax to Celine and access code package. Because I was playing Veiler, I thought we just had to play this.
Mm.
Um, just being able to have a 5300 body and clear a bunch of cards off of just a Veiler and like an Eldlich trap that I have on the field or a Lina that revived a Veiler was really big, and it helps you catch up when you're behind in the game quite a bit. And then the last three cards I played were Nightmare Phoenix, a Nightmare Unicorn, and a Link Spider. Phoenix and Unicorn were a really good utility across the board to just take care of different threats that my opponents may have had. Link Spider was useful for turning tokens generated off Cyberse Gadget into effect monsters that could then be used for cards like Access Code or Verte. So this was definitely a mandatory inclusion in the deck. I think that's all 15 cards.
Awesome. You can move on to the
Yeah.
side deck then.
Yeah. In the side deck, I played three copies of Droll Lockbird, three copies of Artifact Lancia, three copies of Token Collector, three copies of Nibiru, and three copies of Dimensional Barrier. Um, these were really good throughout the tournament. I found that there's a lot of overlap between these cards, like against the Alistair deck going first, I'd bring in like the D barriers, and Drolls going second, I'd bring in Droll Lancia. Against Sword Soul, I'd bring in Nib Token Collector going second. Going first, I'd bring in Token Collector D barrier. Um, in the Eldlich matchup, I brought in Lancias, which put them back a turn and helped me gain tempo and try to win. That came up once. I think the side deck was pretty solid. The theory being that you have your normal summons and you have hand traps to back up your Lich cards. Um, really worked out. I liked it. I really liked how this deck played.
Awesome. Now, quick question with the side deck. I see that you have no back row removal. Did that ever come up? Were you ever punished for not running back row removal, or did it not matter with just having Golden Lord?
I don't think so. I played against pure Lich deck in Swiss, and like I think one or two games he goes set five pass, and just Cyberse Gadget being able to provide so much link material, as well as Golden Lord being able to out your opponent's cards, and then being able to pivot into Destroy Phoenix to trade even more cards and have the Celestial on the crackback. I think you have enough resources in this deck to play against Trap Eldlich. I didn't necessarily have an issue against it.
Okay, gotcha. And moving
Yeah.
forward, would you change anything in your main deck particularly?
I think I might consider um, cutting the droplets for another card, just because this made me give up a few cards in my hand. It's always nice to send Lich traps, but sometimes when you don't have as many Lich traps to send, it feels like you're negging a lot by like sending hand traps or other cards when your opponent tries to use a monster interruption on your cards. So maybe a third copy of Chalice, maybe Dark Ruler are options I'm considering. Maybe even bringing back Gamma and playing Veiler as well as Gamma, or another hand trap altogether.
Okay,
Those are
gotcha.
all different options.
Gotcha, yeah. And if you want to, if you could show the main basic combo with Cyberse Gadget, for those who haven't seen it, or for those who haven't seen Nick's profile from his case tournament recently.
So you start with normal summon of Cyberse Gadget. Let me grab the extra deck here. So you turn the gadget. Uh, let's turn the gadget into a Link devotee. And Gadget triggers to summon a token. So you summon a token, you turn the token into Link Disciple. Now, Disciple has a non once per turn mandatory effect on summon to lock you for the rest of the turn. If you are going to Link summon monsters, you cannot summon Link 3 or higher monsters. So that just activates on summon, but that's alright. Then you activate Disciple's effect, tributing Link Devotee to draw a card and put a card back. That's the only time in this line that your opponent can Ash you. There is no other card that directly special summons from deck or sends a card from deck to grave. Um, but yeah, Devotee says that if it's tributed, you get to summon 2 tokens. So regardless of this Disciple being ashed or veilered or imperned, you still get 2 bodies here. Now, this is where your lines diverge quite a bit. You can go for destroy. You can go for the Destroy Phoenix Dogda line by going Disciple and a token into Dogda, and then turning the last Cyberse token into Link Devotee. And here, Link Devotee activates on summon because it still has a mandatory effect on summon, even though you already are locked, it activates. And you get to chain Dogda, and you get to, if I can find it, you get to set Scythe to your field. And then at this point, you can link Dogda Devotee into Verte and have Verte send a Fusion Destiny for you to end on Destroy Phoenix and Scythe off of the 1 normal summon, which I think is really powerful. Yeah, another line you can do with the Gadget monsters starts at this point again. You can go Disciple, Tribute Devotee, get your 2 tokens. And then you can turn a token into Link Spider, and then turn Link Spider and your token into a copy of Phoenix that's co-linked to the Link Disciple. So you can actually just cycle a card out of your hand, pop a card your opponent has, pop a back row your opponent has, and then make Verte off that. If you want to like pop a Widow Anchor or something that they have. Another line you can do is Disciple, Tribute Devotee, get your 2 tokens, then turn a token into Link Spider, and turn those 2 monsters into Verte. And then what you can do here is turn your last token into Linger Evil. And so now if you activate Verte Anaconda, you have Link, and your opponent imperms you, you have the Linger Evo to negate the impermanence. And if your opponent decides to play around the Linger Evo and imperm you at this point, you can make the Linger Evo anyway and make your second Verte before you activate Verte's effect. So that's also pretty neat. Another thing to note is that if you have Cyberse Gadget and say you activated Signet Mining to get to it, and you discarded a Droll or you discarded a Veiler to get to it, or any other level 2 or lower hand trap, you can summon Cyberse Gadget, get Effect Veiler, then turn the gadget into Disciple, get your token, turn the token into Devotee, then turn the Devotee into 2 tokens. And now here, you can do the whole normal DPE scythe line, but protect yourself from Emperor. Because you have the extra body, you can turn your first Link summon under the Disciple into Linger Evo. And then you can go the token, Link Disciple, or sorry, it would be the token and the monster you revive off the gadget for Dogda.
Mhm.
and then you go into devotee, chain Dagda to set the site, and then you can go devotee Dagda into Verte, which then summons Destroy Phoenix. All while protecting yourself from Imperm. So activating Signet Mining, pitching a hand trap isn't always too bad, because a hand trap still gives you some form of protection later on in the combo.
That's fantastic. Awesome. I love the explanations. Just want to congratulate you once again for your top eight finish. I hope we
Yeah.
see more of this deck, especially from Ozone, because I feel like this is
This deck,
something was never covered
this is one
before.
of the most fun decks I've played in like the past year. I really enjoy playing this pile of cards.
Yeah, exact same thing Nick said. It seems, and it, like I said before, it seems to be picking up some kind of traction because it is so simple. In theory, it's not, and it's not too complex
Yeah,
really to play. But there's a lot of potential, especially moving forward. There's this, a
yeah.
few special techs that are already starting to develop from it.
Yeah, there
Um,
definitely are a few techs that we haven't played yet that we might end up seeing later down the line, but this was definitely a blast to play, and there's still so much to be improved.
yeah, absolutely. Especially once we see this upcoming ban list, we'll go and see how the meta turns out soon
For
enough.
sure,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations, and I hope we see you on Ozone again.
Yeah.
Again, Ozone TCG. See you guys in another video.